Welcome to Dynamics 365 Merging Records, keeping on top of data quality. So we've got a list of accounts in front of us here, and I've noticed over time that one account has been duplicated, and we've even been creating other quotes against both accounts, for example. Now this could be accounts, it could be contacts, but it's an account in this scenario. So I'm just going to do a search for AB star L because we've got an ABT limited and we've got an ABC limited. And so it's worth just noting the information on this line here. Obviously, you can add more columns if you wanted to identify them a little bit closer. But what I'm going to do is to merge the two records, is I'm going to select both of them. And then in the command bar up at the top, because I've got two records selected now, and you can only merge two at a time, you can't merge three into one, you have to merge two into one and then the next one into one if you were to have three duplicates, for example. So I've got my two records selected and I click on merge. So by default, it brings up this merge accounts screen and it shows you any of the fields where there's conflicting data, so you can decide which set of data you want to use, and you can mix and match between. And you also get to choose the parent record, which is why it's well worth just reviewing the record in the first place, and also go downstream to have a look at any opportunities, quotes, customer service cases, whatever's relevant in your system is attached to the account that you want to retain, and that becomes the parent account. So in this case, I'm going to say that ABT Limited is the parent account. I've got the fields with conflicting data here, and I'm going to say, okay, there's no website address on that one. That's actually the website address I want to use. And if you scroll down, you can see any other fields where there's conflicting data. If you uncheck View Fields with Conflicting Data, it will show you far more fields, but there's a little value in these because you can see that the values are the same in the first place. You can specify merge records by choosing fields with data, and that will automatically check which ones it wants to go with. For example, if there's blank data in one of them, it'll get the data from the other one. And the enable parent check, that's if you want to make sure that if you're looking at contacts in particular, or if you've got account hierarchies, that's when it does a parental check to see if there's any issues with merging the records from there. And once you do this, you can't go back. There's no kind of Control Z or undo functionality. And whilst the subordinate record or the child record gets deactivated, it doesn't get deleted, so it's retained in the database until you decide to delete it. Any downstream records, such as quotes or opportunities, will be merged into the parent record. So whilst you could undo it kind of manually, it is a little bit laborious. So it's one of those where if you've got a couple of test accounts or test contacts, you may want to practice first in your system with those before you try it for real. But it just takes a little bit of time just to investigate downstream what the impact might be. But I'm happy with what's happening here, so I'm going to click OK and merge ABC Limited into ABT Limited. Okay, so this is when it's useful to have these checks in place. So it says the subordinate record is associated with one or more active quotes. So because there's active quotes related to this record, we can't actually merge them together. That's one of the criteria that you're not allowed to do. However, if we uncheck enable parent check, it still doesn't let us do it because an active quote is quite a key status within the system. It needs to be closed as lost or closed as won. So what you would need to do first is you need to go through the process with ABC Limited to make sure that that quote has been closed down first. So if I just click into ABC Limited and I go to quotes over here, then I can see that we have got several quote records for this customer in the system. And that's, if I scroll over to the right, some of them are in draft status. So I would just need to sort out those quotes first. So what I'm going to do just for the purposes of the demo is just activate these. Open my record set, go to the next quote, and activate that quote as well. Okay, so let's just go back to our accounts now and do a search for AB star L and try merging these again. Now it's unlikely it's going to let me because the quotes are still active, they haven't been closed down, but this is worth just running through for your reference so you can see what happens. It still doesn't let us. So what we could have done in that scenario is if we just go to the quotes again for ABC Limited, what we could have done is we could have changed the customer manually for those draft records into the parent record. So we're going to change the potential customer from ABC Limited to ABT Limited. That would have been one option. The other option would be to close these down and put new quotes in place. So you need to have a look at your data first and see what the best approach would be. And for now, I'm going to close these down as lost, just so we can see the merge process all the way through to the end. So if I close this quote, I'm going to put it as cancelled actually, and I'm not going to create a revised quote. Cancelled, and then revised quote. And the same again. Okay, so all those have been closed down now. If I just go back to my accounts and go to AB star L, I've got ABT Limited and ABC Limited. And it should let me merge these now, unless there's any other conditions that I haven't satisfied. Depending on the number of records downstream, it may take a bit of time or it may be very quick. If it's just the accounts and nothing else, then it'll merge them pretty quickly. If it's going through all the opportunities, quotes, orders, customer service cases, whatever else is in your system, it might take a bit longer. And we can see that ABC Limited has dropped off here now, and that's because I've got the active accounts selected. If I change this to all accounts and go for AB star L, I can see that ABC Limited is still there. It's just got a status of inactive now. So merging records, whether they are accounts or contact records, is a great way to keep on top of data quality. And it's really essential that you understand the effect of what's going to happen downstream. So always try it with a record first before you go and use it across many records or on a larger record where you're not quite sure what the impact's going to be. Obviously, Dynamics manages lots of relationships in the system for us, so it's always worth making sure you're comfortable with what's going to happen before you run the merging process, but it's a great way to keep on top of your data quality.